Hi, you've tuned to the Heart of Tarot, and today I wanted to talk about the King Midas myth, the myth that goes with the Pentacles cards. Discs, earth, money, finances, security, body, physical stuff. So if we look at our most fixed of this most fixed sign, it's the Four of Pentacles. It's like Taurus when they're digging their heels in. He won't be able to receive, but he's holding on to what he's got, unable to take a risk, and no imagination or vision required with this guy. So it's really clinging on to that security. And the very next card we have the Five, and you can see what these guys are missing is the Spirit at the top. And this is kind of the theme of King Midas. We go to the Nine of Pentacles, and what we see, beautiful garden, everything's happy. Why is the bird covered up? And to me, that's kind of a kick in the guts, that card. That's the bird in the gilded cage. If we move to our Ten of Pentacles, you can see everything's there. It should be awesome. It's dynasty, it's family, it's money, it's old, young, new, the dogs, country, city, everything's there. It's old family law, it's institution, it's very conservative, and the thing missing is just here on the side of the card, where my pinky, where my finger is. There's a bit of a tapestry missing, and again, it's like, what's not going on with this story? If we go to our King of Pentacles, same guy there, he is super comfortable, balancing his hand really nonchalantly on his gold coin there, surrounded in the riches and the wealth. He's got grapes on his robes. He's not looking at us. He's sort of focused somewhere in the middle distance of something he might like to pop in his mouth or buy. So let's move into the story of King Midas, who is the legend behind this King of Pentacles. So King Midas, the legend has it, was actually a very benevolent king, a very good-hearted. He was the son and consort of a moon goddess called Sybil. They had a daughter called Zoe, which means life. So life was pretty good, and he lived in a beautiful garden with roses. Apparently these roses in the garden had 60 blooms on a stem, and their fragrance was unsurpassed. So he had a pretty good life. One day, an old centaur called Selinus passed out drunk in his rose garden, and good old King Midas, sweetheart that he was, looked after him for 10 days, listened to his stories, helped him recover. They kind of became really good mates. And King Midas sent the centaur back to Centaur land, which at the time was Lydia, back to his king, who was Dionysus. Dionysus was so rapt that King Midas had looked after his centaur Selinus that he granted King Midas a wish, anything he wanted. And King Midas wished for anything he touched would turn to gold. And now we have a problem. At first, it was very exciting for him, a real novelty. If he picked up a twig, it turned to gold. If he touched his roses, they turned to gold. It was awesome. But then he sat down at his meal, and anyone who knows an earth sign who's before their meal, don't get between them and their food. They get hungry, they get hangry. So King Midas sat down for his meal and he picked up his apple, went to eat it, and it turned to gold. He picked up his wine. The wine turned to gold. So he had this awful crushing moment where the wish he'd been given ended up being the most awful curse. In the meantime, his most beloved daughter Zoe came in, Zoe meaning life, crying because the roses had all turned to gold and they weren't smelling their beautiful fragrance anymore. And even as she cried, King Midas reached out and touched a tear and it turned to gold. So he realised, hands off, he could never embrace Zoe, life, again. So what did he do? Well, he panicked and he railed, and then he prayed. So he prayed and prayed to Dionysus, and eventually Dionysus heard the prayer and was able to release him from the spell. But it's that reminder that even with all the riches of the world, with everything you could have, even generational riches, the real wealth comes from spirit. And without one balancing the other, you're really left empty. So that's the story of King Midas.